Statistics show that about 27% of motorcycle fatalities happen between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. I'm sure there's a lot of contributing factors to that, but this week on MCrider, we're going to look at one of those factors, riding at night. Hey, welcome. My name's Kevin. I'm the host here at MCrider, where I release a weekly video on skills or road strategy to help make you a better rider. I hope you'll hit the subscribe button and consider supporting us on Patreon or becoming a member on YouTube and getting access to the forum and the field guide. So some of the dangers of riding a motorcycle at night are obvious. There's decreased visibility, both what you can see and how well other drivers around you can see. And we'll get into some tips and some things that you can do in a little bit that will help you in those nighttime situations, but that decreased visibility is a big thing. It makes it harder to see objects in the road, potholes, animals that may come out in the road or are dead on the side of the road, makes those much more difficult to see. And motorcycles aren't always lit up real well, especially when you get them from the factory. If you've not added extra lighting to a motorcycle, it makes it more difficult to see on the road. Now, my Road King lights up pretty well. I've added some extra lights to that. The XSR 900, not so much right now, especially from the rear. It's only got the tail light and the turn signal lights that are clearly visible on a nighttime road. And you can add some things to that, like reflective gear or high vis gear to help with that. But visibility becomes a big issue. And one thing that a lot of new riders don't think about is cornering visibility. And what I mean by that is we teach here on MCrider, turning your head, or I preach that a lot, looking through the corner as you approach a corner. Well, at night, if I'm riding up on my motorcycle and I'm making that left-hand turn and I turn my head, my headlight's still pointing straight ahead, so I'm looking off into the dark. And that can really throw you off because you're looking in a direction, and depending on the street and how many lights are around, you may really not be able to see what's through that corner. So that adds to it, especially on roads that you're not familiar with as well. You also have an increased number of intoxicated drivers on the road. Not only drivers of the cars, but drivers of motorcycles as well. 47% of motorcyclists who die between the hours of 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. had a blood alcohol content of 0.08. So they were legally impaired. So nighttime driving and being intoxicated on a motorcycle seem to go hand in hand, and a large percentage of fatalities on a motorcycle happen between those hours, and a big contributor to that is riders driving or riding intoxicated. You also, before it gets totally dark, you have the increased odds of deer coming out on the road, because at dusk and dawn are the times that they're moving around looking to feed, and they're not settled down in one position. So if you live in an area like here in Texas, especially out in West Texas, where deer are a lot more prevalent, you get out on some of those two-lane roads, those hours at dusk and dawn, you have to be particularly careful and keep your head and eyes looking down the road and checking side to side, because the deer are going to be more active during those hours. So we know that it's more dangerous to ride at night, but what are some things as riders that we can do to protect ourselves? Let me give you 6 tips that will help you increase your odds of getting home safely if you're riding a motorcycle at night. Well, the first tip is a big one, and it's don't override your headlight. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you're riding down the road and it takes, let's say it takes 120 feet for you to get that motorcycle to a complete stop, but your headlight only projects out 100 feet, you've got 20 feet of roadway there that you're totally blind. So you have to slow down so that you can get that motorcycle to a stop within the distance that you can clearly see with your headlight. And there are things that we'll talk about here in a minute that you can do to increase how far your headlights go out. But particularly on a stock bike, a lot of bikes don't have real good headlights. you want to make sure that you can get the motorcycle to a stop within the distance that your headlight can see or allow you to see. So one thing you can do on your motorcycle is change the lighting. I've not done a whole lot of changes to the XSR yet as far as lighting goes, but on the Harley in the background, I've changed the driving lights and the headlight to LEDs, and I've added LEDs for the turn signals and the tail light as well. And that really helps light the motorcycle up to make it easier to be seen, but it also projects light a whole lot further down the road and makes that light brighter when I'm driving at night. So you'll want to check your model of motorcycle and see what type of auxiliary lights, either adding extra lights to it or changing the existing lights to HIDs or LEDs to help increase your visibility and to help you see further down the road at night. The high-vis clothing that you wear makes a big difference. White helmets in particular are the most visible, and particularly at night, because the light really reflects off of that really well. But if you buy a good quality riding jacket, a lot of times they'll have reflective material sewn into the fabric that's going to create portions of the fabric, the seams and things like that, to be reflective. You can also add, reflectors or decals to the motorcycle. And I've printed up several hundred of these MCrider decals. These are made from a reflective material. I've got them on the back of the Road King now to help me be more visible at night. If you'd like to get one of these, you can go to mcrider.com/decal, and I'll have details there where you can order one. It helps support the channel, and it's going to help make you a little more visible at night as well. The helmet that you ride with is going to make a difference as well. I've got my Shoei GT Air here. It's got that drop-down internal visor. So I like to ride with a tinted visor, but on my climb helmet back there on the wall, it's got a dark visor on it. So my options with that are to carry a clear one if I get caught with that helmet on at night, or better yet, to have a helmet like this, personally for me, that has that drop-down internal visor. So during the day, I can keep that down. Once it sets in dark or the sun goes down, I can pop that up and I'm in good shape. You really don't want to ride around, even with that light tinted or that light smoked visor at night. Be honest, I've been caught a few times with a tinted visor a little bit later than I wanted to, and it really can be a hazardous situation. You have the choice to, hey, how well can I see with it down, or do I need to lift it up? And then you've got road debris or bugs that have the potential to get in your eyes if you have to ride in those situations. So you want to think about your helmet. Either buy something like this that works in all situations, carry an extra shield with you, or another option, let me grab it over here. You can buy some inexpensive goggles like this, these clear goggles. If you've got a tinted visor, you can pop that up. You can put these on underneath your helmet, have that foam piece around there so that it keeps debris and stuff out of your eyes. But that's another option if you want to carry those around as well. I've done that a few times in emergencies as well. But think about your visor and the helmet that you're wearing if you're planning on riding during the day and at night also. One thing that a lot of riders don't take into consideration is properly aiming their headlights. Now, the way that you aim it is going to be different on every model. Some models have just knobs that you can turn to adjust the headlights. Others, you'll have to turn some screws, but look in your owner's manual to find out how to adjust yours. But the way that you want to adjust it is park your motorcycle on a level surface about 25 feet from a wall, a clear wall. And then you want to measure from the center of your headlight to the ground. So you get that measurement, and then you go to your wall and you make a mark at the same height on that wall, and then another mark about 2 inches down. You want to go back to your motorcycle, start it up, and then you want to mount it wearing the gear that you would normally so that the proper weighting is on the motorcycle. Your low beam, the top edge of your low beam should come up to that lower line. So about 2 inches lower than the center of your headlight is where you want it to point. And then your high beam the upper edge of that should go up to that upper line. If you do that, then your headlights are properly adjusted. You can button everything back down and tighten it up, and you're good to go. Another tip I've got for you is to use the lights of the cars around you, particularly if you're on a 2-lane road and it's fairly dark. Watch, and you've got a car in front of you, you can watch the tail lights of the car in front of you. That way you can know if there's any dips or bumps in the road, so you can be better prepared for it. And you can position yourself to use the headlights of the car to see further up the road as well. So you can use their headlights to even project further out of what your headlight would be able to do on its own. But remember, you need to maintain your following distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. But if you get that right and you stay within that, that car is going to be able to project out much further and is going to help you see a whole lot further down the road than you could on your own. Cars approaching with their headlights on, particularly if they've got their brights on, can also pose a hazard. What you want to do in those situations is avoid looking directly at the headlights of the car coming on, but look down at the center painted line or something so you can see up the road, but avoid looking directly into the lights, because you're going to get a little bit of light blindness both when they are approaching you and for a few seconds after they go by, because your eyes won't have time to adjust back to the road conditions. So avoid looking directly at those lights, and that's going to help you avoid that night blindness as well. Are there any other tips? Is there anything that I left out or things that you use to help you ride better at night? I'd love for you to leave those in the comment. Or if you're a patron, comment on this video on the forums and enlighten us, I guess, on how you ride better at night and the tips that you use to help you stay safe at night. If you're not a member of the forums or have access to the field guide, you can get that at mcrider.com/support, or by clicking that YouTube member button that's below this video, or finding the link in the description on how to become a member, and you can get access that way as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say and learning from your tips and experience. And until next week, guys, this is Ken with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. MCrider is made possible by our friends on Patreon. To learn how to support MCrider, get access to the field guide and the forums, go to mcrider.com/support.